Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News. This week's headlines. The Moscow patriarch stokes Orthodox tensions with his war remarks. Anti-war opinions can cost Russians their jobs. Putin's staged patriotic rally was abruptly cut off. The Kremlin claims it was a glitch. American preachers tell women and children escaping Ukraine to accept Jesus. In Afghanistan, the girls returned to school and were then sent home. The trial of the killer of Sir David Amess MP hears that he also targeted Michael Gove. A UK Catholic priest says teachers are devils teaching an abomination. A pastor was arrested for child porn possession after authorities search his parsonage. Atheist Pirates clear illegal religious signage from public life. And Atheist Day was celebrated in India. Russian Orthodox patriarch Kirill, leader of Russia's dominant religious group, has sent his strongest signal yet, justifying his country's invasion of Ukraine, describing the conflict as part of a struggle against sin. Kirill, a longtime ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin, had already refrained from criticizing the Russian invasion, alienating many in the Ukrainian Orthodox churches who had previously stayed loyal to the Moscow patriarch. Several of these former loyalists are now snubbing Kirill in their public prayers, with some demanding independence from the Moscow church. In a sermon delivered on Sunday before the start of Orthodox Lent, Kirill echoed Putin's unfounded claims that Ukraine was engaged in the extermination of Russian loyalists in Donbass, the breakaway eastern region of Ukraine, held since 2014 by two Russian-backed separatist groups. Kirill focused virtually all of his talk about the war on Donbass, with no mention of Russia's widespread invasion and its bombardment of civilian targets. He depicted the war in spiritual terms. We have entered into a struggle that is not a physical, but a metaphysical significance, he said. He contended that some of the Donbass separatists were suffering for their fundamental rejection of the so-called values that are offered today by those who claim world power. He claimed that this unnamed world power is posing a test for the loyalty of countries by demanding that they hold gay pride parades to join a global club of nations with its own ideas of freedom and excess consumption. Many Orthodox Christians in Ukraine have been appalled by Kirill's stance on the Ukraine war. The Moscow patriarch has for centuries claimed the ultimate loyalty of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. This war is shattering that loyalty for some, however. Numerous bishops in the Ukrainian Orthodox Church have authorized their priests not to commemorate Patriarch Kirill in their prayers during public worship services. The Reverend Mykola Danilevich, who has served as a spokesman for the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, confirmed on his Telegram account that many of our priests have stopped commemorating the Moscow Patriarch for worship services. And the reason is obvious, Danilek wrote, before Kirill's most recent Sunday sermon. The treacherous open invasion of Ukraine is a huge mistake of Russia. People did not hear from the Patriarch a clear assessment of this war and his call to stop this madness. For 28-year-old geography teacher Kamran Manafli, It all began with an Instagram post. "I don't want to be a reflection of state propaganda," he wrote on the social media site just a few days before it was restricted in Russia. "I have my own opinion. Lots of teachers do. And you know what? It's not the same as the opinion of the state." He felt compelled to write the comment after a staff meeting at his secondary school in central Moscow, in which he and his colleagues were told how to talk to their pupils about the situation in Ukraine. In other words, not to deviate from the government position. 2 hours after posting, he received a call from the school's head teacher, telling him to delete it immediately or leave his job. "I didn't want to delete it," Mr. Manafly told the BBC. "I knew straight away there was no point in arguing, so I thought it was best to just resign." When he arrived at school the next day, expecting to pick up his things and sign his resignation letter, he was barred from entering the premises. They said they have an order not to let me in. The children started to come out onto the street to support me, say goodbye, and so on. Then someone called the police and said I was organizing an unsanctioned rally. He eventually recovered his belongings and the next day was able to meet the school's head teacher, where he was asked for a formal explanation about why he had expressed his political views on social media. Mr. Manafly refused, expecting to resign anyway, but instead was told that the situation had changed and he was going to be dismissed. 2 days later, I was informed that I had been fired for immoral behavior at work, Mr. Manafly said. "For me, the strangest thing is that they consider the expression of a personal opinion to be immoral." Thousands of flag-waving Russians crammed into Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium, the same arena that once hosted the FIFA World Cup finals, during a triumphal celebration of the 8th anniversary of Russia's annexation of Crimea. The event sharply underscored how much Russia, isolated by Western governments and shunned by global companies, has changed since 2018, when it opened its arms to the global soccer tournament. Russian President Vladimir Putin, breaking from his recent image as a remote figure at the end of a very long table, strode about the stage, extolling the war against Ukraine as testament to Russia's Christian values. Wearing a cream turtleneck sweater and expensive navy quilted jacket, he said Russia took military action to stop neo-Nazis and extreme nationalists in Ukraine committing genocide. But the video feed of his speech abruptly cut off in mid-sentence, an interruption that was later described by the Kremlin as a technical problem. See this video.
Многонациональный народ Российской Федерации.
We, the multinational people of the Russian Federation, united by the common destiny on our own land. These are the first lines of Russia's fundamental law, the Constitution, and each of these words is filled with a deep sense, has a tremendous meaning. On our own land, united by the common destiny. For sure, this is what they thought and have been led by when they went to take part in the referendum in Crimea and Sevastopol on March 18, 2014. They lived and live now on their own land and wanted to live the common destiny with their historic native country, with Russia. They have had every right to do so, and they have achieved their goal. Let us first of all congratulate them on the occasion of this holiday. It is their holiday. Congratulations.
Всего их с праздником. Это их праздник. Поздравляем!
As usual for such events, some of the attendees were state employees ordered to attend. "We are forced to go to all such events. We can't say no, it's out of the question. said a Moscow social worker, Lena, who spoke on condition her last name not be used for fear of losing her job. I hate this whole thing, and I'm very afraid. They told us that if we don't go, we will be fired right away. Lena is from the sizable group of Russians unwilling to engage in politics and not interested in the news. I'm not interested in politics. I don't understand what's going on, she said. I know that people are being killed and it's awful. How dare they organize a concert when people are dying? She said she was also forced to participate in elections and to vote for Putin's United Russia Party or lose her job. Another woman said, they stuck me on a bus and brought me here. At the Ukraine-Poland border, tired women and children desperately leaving their country are being pestered by American preachers telling them they all need to accept Jesus as their savior and then their lives will be better. They are receiving a lot of eye rolls in response. This week could have been incredibly important for girls in Afghanistan. The Taliban ban on their secondary school education was due to be lifted. But as they entered the classrooms and were wiping the dust off the desks, some of the teachers were murmuring that, unexpectedly, the school would have to shut down again. The local Taliban education official forwarded the head teacher a WhatsApp message saying girls' secondary schools would in fact remain closed until further notice. The students reacted with shock and horror. Some began to cry. We just want to be able to learn and serve our people, Fatima told us. What kind of a country is this? What is our sin? She asked, addressing the Taliban while visibly distraught. You're always talking about Islam. Does Islam say to harm women like this? See this video from Malala Yousafzai.
It is such a devastating day for them, for us, because the Taliban made a promise that they will allow girls to go to school. And most of us were skeptic about it because we had heard these things previously as well. We know that the Taliban will continue to make excuses to prevent girls from learning. We are not unfamiliar with that. We're not new to this. We have heard it in the past. We heard it back in 1996. We heard it in Swat Valley as well. And we hear it even today in 2022 that they will prevent girls from their education. They will use the excuse of uniform, walking to school, separation and segregated classrooms and female teachers. These excuses are nothing new that we are hearing. And I think the Afghanistan that the Taliban are envisioning is the one where girls do not receive their education, where they never go higher than the primary schools. And that is an Afghanistan where we do not have educated women, where half of the population are held back. And I don't think that Afghanistan will see peace and progress that it deserves. So it is heartbreaking.
An Islamist terrorist accused of murdering Sir David Amess MP carried out reconnaissance on other potential targets, including Cabinet Minister Michael Gove, his trial heard. Opening the trial at the Old Bailey in London, prosecutor Tom Little, QC, described the defendant as a radicalized Islamist terrorist and called it a murder carried out because of a warped and twisted and violent ideology. This was nothing less than an assassination for terrorist purposes, he said. It is a crime to which, we say, he has no defense. A post-mortem examination showed that Sir David suffered 21 stab wounds to his face, arms, legs, and torso, as well as injuries to both hands that were consistent with defending himself. The court heard Mr. Ali had requested an appointment with Sir David under the pretense he was moving to the area, and he provided a postcode to verify this. Mr. Little QC told jurors that Mr. Ali appeared relaxed and chatty as he walked over to Sir David just before he brutally stabbed him in a vicious and frenzied attack shortly after midday on October the 15th. Two people arriving for the next appointment heard cries for help from the MP's aides, while Mr. Ali continued to wave a bloody knife, shouting, "I killed him, I killed him," the court was told. Mr. Little said the defendant then shouted to those in the church, "I want him dead. I want every parliament minister who signed up for the bombing of Syria, who agreed to the Iraqi war, to die." See this alarming video of his arrest.
Yes, we're TA, we're waiting. We're taser unit. We need the taser unit here. We're TA. Let's say he's got a knife and he's just stabbed us. Mate, we've got to stick our instructions as well at the same time. We've got a taser unit 1 minute away. So we're going to go in and pick a taser. Can you show us, mate? Stay back there. Here on the left.
Yeah, go on. You can see what's names. You stand aside. Yeah?
Mate, drop the knife.
Drop the knife now! Mate, drop that knife! Drop that knife! Drop the knife now! Mate, drop the knife! You can drop it! Mate, listen to me. Drop the knife. Mate, no, it's mate, drop the knife! Drop the knife! Mate, you can drop the knife! Listen to me, look, it's only going to go one way. Just drop that knife. Please drop that knife for me. Just drop the knife.
We'll talk about it.
You don't want to do this. Okay?
Mate, just drop the knife.
You can do this.
Mate, taser.
Get up, mate. Yeah, come on, on the floor now. Get it down! We go.
Right, searching.
Right, mate, at the moment you're under arrest for murder. Alright, would you like to say anything? They may under offence. You do not mention when mentioned something which you later on in court. Anything you do say may be given as evidence. You understand me?
Controversy has visited a town in the south of England over this last week with a taste of American-style preaching that's very rare in the chapels, cloisters and vestibules of traditional English holy buildings. Gosport is a town in Hampshire on the south coast of England that enjoys very little news fame, but this week has seen a local Catholic church there become somewhat noteworthy, and people in education are about to understand the ramifications. The homily of Father Rosario Ebanks in Gosport's St. Mary's and St. Columba's Catholic Church last Sunday has so far hit local headlines and could perhaps go further, as it has called both Catholic teachers and Office of Standards for Education inspectors devils, and the teaching of modern relationships an abomination. His American-style homily is not something you would expect to see and hear in an otherwise traditionally quiet and conservative English church setting. See this video.
It's very sad, dear brothers and sisters, that we have opened up a door to the devil in our Catholic schools, embracing all of this gender ideology and this rainbow flag revolution. So, what if one day your little son comes home one day and says, "Mummy, I want to start wearing a skirt. I want to change my name to Jessica. And I'm no longer a boy, but I'm a girl. That's what I want to be. That's who I am." We've been learning about this in school, learning about relationships. And I was told that all of this is acceptable and okay. And one of the teachers spoke to us about different families and different forms of love. And we're even going to have a club at school called the Rainbow Flag Club. And once we were shown a picture of two people holding hands with the words that says, "Everything is okay, it's all okay." Dear brothers and sisters, those teachers are a bunch of devils. What a scandal. What an abomination to think that in some so-called Catholic schools, these abominations are being presented and promoted, promoting sin, promoting a sin against chastity, promoting a sin against nature.
The local schools have reacted vociferously against the messages that Father Ebanks was espousing, with the local educational authority and safeguarding teams also becoming involved. A Baptist pastor in New Hampshire was arrested for possessing child sexual abuse images following an investigation by multiple law enforcement entities that lasted nearly 6 years. The Nashua Police Department arrested 46-year-old Stephen Bates on Tuesday after executing a search warrant on the parsonage. Bates is the pastor of Bible Baptist Church of Nashua, an independent Baptist congregation. Police said in a statement that while searching Bates's parsonage, they found 2 flash drives on his person which had numerous images of child pornography on them. The Nashua Police Department said, Pastor Bates has been initially charged with possession of child sexual abuse images, but more charges are expected as the investigation continues and more digital evidence is analysed. The charge is a Class A felony, according to authorities, and can carry a punishment of up to 15 years in state prison, exclusive of fines. Bates has his bail set at $3,000. People are clearing illegal religious signs from public streets in Los Angeles. See this video from our friends at Atheist Republic.
Atheist Pirates, clearing illegal religious signage from public life. Atheist Street Pirates, a subgroup of the Los Angeles-based group Atheists United, has been actively clearing out religious signage illegally posted in public places since 2021. The Street Pirates began as a joke at an Atheist United meeting when members complained about religious signage all over the city. The idea started as a quote-unquote religious rubbish removal, which eventually became the Atheist Street Pirates. The group is not removing any signage from any church property, as those signs maintain the separation of church and state. Evan Clark, the executive director of Atheists United, said he understands that people put a lot of passion behind these signs in their messages. I just wanted to do this as a casual thing to keep our streets secular. The group has already tracked more than 70 signs across Los Angeles County on their Google Map database. They have an inventory with photos and locations of the signage they encountered. To maintain consistency, Clark also said that if his team encountered any atheist signage in the public space, they would take that down as well.
Atheist Day was celebrated in India. See this video.
हेलो, आवाज सुनाई दे रहा है तो आप टाइप कीजिए। मैं हूं चरवाक लोकायत और आज सबका मैं स्वागत करता हूं जो भी देख रहे हैं व्यूअर्स अराउंड द वर्ल्ड। आज है हैप्पी एथियस्ट डे 2022।
My Free Thought Hour guest this week is kindred spirit Phil Calderoni. We will discuss truth, belief, and reality. It will be starting in a few minutes, so stay tuned to this channel. Come and chat with us and bring your friends. The GAN team will be back with our weekly news review next week. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and set the notifications. This has been Global Atheist News. Thank you for watching.